Hi there. I want to speak to you today about your soul and how your soul speaks to you and the way in which the soul comes through story, song, dance, the sunsets, the moonlight, even through our tragedies, through the sad, shitty challenges that come in life. Our soul is always with us, beckoning our attention. It's like we have this imprint, that comes into this life with us. There's our spirit and there's our soul. And you could say in some ways they're not different, but your soul is unique to you. It's your imprint. And even when it's sad and messy as it is now, there's always something to be harvested from the muck when we're willing to let our feet land on the ground and let our nervous system just settle for a moment and breathe and rest and listen and receive. And you may feel already, just as you start to kind of slow down and let yourself be here, that there's something that you can't quite put your hands on. You can't touch it, really, but you can feel it. And there's a part of you that has a very attuned listening. We listen with the entirety of our bodies, like our sensations. The everything comes in first through the skin. So I have an idea. Let's do a little guided experience together to give you more of a sense of how the soul is speaking to you. Because it's important. There's so many stories, songs, even like, have you noticed there may be a time when you're going about your day and something just starts singing itself through you. But then when other people come around, maybe you get shy and you hold back, or maybe there was a time prior to that when you expressed yourself and something happened on the outside and you made a decision and interpretation about that. And then that song got suppressed, right? So when we tell our stories and we sing our songs, what has been made invisible becomes visible. The hard becomes soft. The repressed is expressed. The mad becomes mighty. The lost is found. The regretful becomes regenerative. And the anxious is ancient, becomes ancient. Because all of this is happening when we land our feet on the ground, on the earth, and we settle. Everything is happening on the lap of the great mother, the cherishing mother. And we start to feel ourselves root then from the ground up rather than the top down. And the soul is similar in that way, how it speaks to us from the ground up. It's intricately interwoven with all of existence, which you can probably make most contact through the earth, through all of the elemental beings. Almost like the soul is that liminal space between worlds. What is here physically that we can see with our eyes, hear with our ears, and speak even with our mouths, all of that kind of more of the physical domain. There's a doorway, many doorways and windows that can open when we relax into our nervous system and listen. And then we start to understand that there's something much deeper at work here. There's much more going on. So let's do this little experience together. Feel, you don't have to put yourself in a meditative posture. You can if you want to, but I'm just asking you to relax. Let yourself sink into your seat, whatever it is you're sitting on, and let your breath deepen in your body. Mm. And just notice how delicious it is to take a pause and to just let yourself slow down. And when we slow down and we pause and we come into a place of that's maybe more restful. And initially, maybe you don't feel restful. And that's okay too. Like if your body needs to move, don't force it to be still. Like let yourself look around, in the room or wherever it is that you are. Turn off any distractions if you need to, cell phones, gadgets. Let this time when you show up to sit with me, let it be a time of self nourishment and self care and soul care, soul listening, the medicine of your soul to be able to receive that. And if there's something heavy on your mind that you feel like, oh, I can't really sit here, I got to get to this, just jot it down on a piece of paper and promise yourself, I will get to that. And you will. It will be there. We're just taking a couple of minutes for nourishment. And it doesn't take long, to just notice how you are now. And let your attention not be focused on any one point, where you can let your attention move to wherever it freely wants to go. And if it feels right for you, you can invite your breath to travel more down in your belly towards your tailbone. And you can invite your spine, if you have something behind you, to let it just rest. Every one of those vertebrae. The breath gives a little more space in between, and you just sink into your seat. So the back doesn't need to be held up like this, firm. Oh, and just notice when you let the breath move in your spine that maybe you'll get a pop, a crackle, a snap. Enjoy that. So we have this wonderful organ of the skin. It's kind of like, in a way, it's a very sensitive organ. The skin carries so much information. And you could say it's kind of the boundary between what is inside and what is outside. So if you want to kind of just let your hands gently move along your arms, feel your skin. I have a long sweater on right now, so I'm not getting until I get to my hands. But I could go to my face and feel my skin on my face. Hmm, feels good. So, whatever it is that you're touching right now, you can feel that, yes? And let your eyes close and let your hands continue to move. Now, right now, my fingertips are at my neck. And just notice wherever yours are. Maybe they're on your arms or on your thighs or anywhere else where you have skin, hands. And just notice that, to know where your skin is being felt, that felt sense of touch. But you don't have to see it. You can just feel it. And the soul is like this. We don't see it. But when we listen and get quiet, we can feel it. Like no matter where you go on your body to touch, it doesn't require your physical eyes. Like you're perceiving from a inner space, an inner sensing. Now, sometimes we may come to a part in our body. If you let your hands continue to go slow, and maybe, let me just like, there's a part on my knee. It's not the same anymore. I'd broken my leg, but now I pretty much have all of my sensation back in my leg. I can feel it. But let me just pretend for a moment that I couldn't. I didn't like, oh, my hand is here. I'm touching my knee, but I don't feel anything. So that is good information, right? And that's how it is with the soul. It's like, okay, now I need to pay even more attention. Like, what if it isn't being felt from the inside, like that inner sensing doesn't register the fact that I'm touching myself there, then it might require some guidance, some support from the outside. So the movement of the soul, like how we listen to our soul, how we explore and remain curious about what is being asked of us, gives our life the most meaning right now. Sometimes it can be as simple as listening and feeling and asking the question, what is mine to do? What is here for me now? And if the feeling isn't coming, that's when we can choose to reach out for some other kind of information or support. Like, say, if we were just speaking about numbness in the body, but I'm using all of this as a metaphor for being able to not, like how to really attune to that listening. And so, say I had numbness in my leg, I could go to, say, a massage therapist or a chiropractor or do some kind of body work and exercise, and maybe I would get more feeling there. But that would require the assistance of somebody else. Like with soul guidance, sometimes it requires the guidance of another person to help us tune into that place that feels like it isn't speaking to us right now. Like there's doubt or there's uncertainty, there's the compass isn't clear, the direction isn't clear. So we can reach and get support. And it comes in other ways too. Like you could turn on some music and a song might play and you hear some lyrics, or maybe it's the emotional tone of the music and it resonates somewhere in your body, because the soul lives inside of you, it's like everywhere. And then something in you is lifted by that and you become curious. And there's an emotional feeling of aliveness or something waking up that resonates with that sound from the outside. Or it could be a book that we read and we read a particular story and then it touches something inside of us. And we're like, oh yeah, I'm going to read that again because it's touching something. It's like landing inside. Or it could be a dream that we have. And we have this dream and it wakes us up in the night. It's like, whoa, what was that about? Like, what message is coming through my dreams? And we can be curious about that and we let that work on us. So we let music, songs, other people's stories, words, the environment, going out in nature, the sunset, the moonlight. Like right now, we have the moon waning. It's getting bigger, and energy is getting bigger, and we're coming into a place of fullness. The autumn harvest is here now, so there's also this kind of feeling of shedding, of dying, of things falling off. And when things fall off, there's more comes into view. It's almost like when we're pretending to be something that we're not, we can have a lot of cosmetics and coverings on or costumes. And then when those are taken off and we start to strip away personas, we start to see, and then our listening to that, the movement, the music, the song of our own soul, then can be attuned to a little more closely. Now, I speak to you about this right now for a couple of reasons. One is because there's a lot of chaos going on right now. There's a lot of, shitty stories happening. And we have to like take that in, take that in measurements. We have to be able to gauge like how much of that can I listen to and take in before I need to just turn that off and do something that's really nourishing, right? Because we can get we're sensitive beings, so we're very porous, and we can absorb a bit too much that becomes undigestible. So we say, how much of that can I take before I take a break? Turn it off. Go do something else. Something that feels really nourishing. Take a rest. Because what's happening in our world right now in many places is quite traumatic. And it may trigger also for some of us early trauma that hasn't quite resolved yet. And that isn't necessarily always a bad thing, because there is something else speaking to us and say, there's something here that I need to attend to because I might be overreacting to this. Right. So what is it that I'm being asked to attend to? So we can kind of not in an analytical way, but in a curious way, notice how we respond to what's happening in the world. And what do we do to take care of ourselves, to be on the lap, so to speak, of the cherishing mother that we talked about briefly in the beginning? Getting your feet in the soil and feeling that web of connection with all of the earth elements, with the Great Mother, is always one of our best resources to hang out with. And the other reason is that I have my book launch, my big birth is, I finished my book and I'm going to speak at my book launch, which is this Saturday. So you can still sign up at prajnaohara.com/events, and it's free and it will be on Zoom, just like this. And I'm going to read a bonus chapter, which is going to kind of lead into why did I rewrite my book? Why this new edition? Why this revision, why? And I want to talk about that because it's super important as far as the journey of the soul goes. And you will find your story within my stories because it's a collective story. And something in me needed to do that. And I followed it. And I'm in a completely different place as a result of it. And I really want it to be beneficial for other people. And I'll also go into the feminine archetypes that I'm not like, it's not a telling story, it's a showing story. So I'm not saying, okay, now right here, I'm talking about the maiden, or okay, I'm talking about the mother. Like, it's more experiential. I'm narrating my own journey. And then you can, by reading and listening into that, you can see, oh, where does that place me in my own journey? What are the stories that I have kept locked inside? What is it that is still in me that needs to be spoken, that needs to be empowered, that needs to be enlivened? So in that way, it's very much a guide. So I want to show that because often people write memoirs like myself to, we're really driven to make meaning out of something. to kind of like get to like the why. Not so much the why because maybe, but yeah, in a way, the why. Like I had to ask myself, how did I end up in this particular situation with 1 pound baby? So I had to go back and look at the history of women, the history of myself, and how does anybody get into a position where they're disempowered rather than empowered? And this is happening all the time. So I'm going to share that, and hopefully in a way that is meaningful, and encourage you to read my story if you like and share it about. So this is happening on Saturday. So I wanted to speak about that because it really is about the journey of the soul, personal and the collective. We have this unique imprint, but we also have shared lived experience right now, currently and historically. So we are a benefit to each other when we open up in our authentic expression, so that that which was suppressed becomes expressed, and that which was anxious is anxious. You see the connection in our bloodline and those who have gone before. And how can we benefit from the stories that have gone before us and kind of do some cleanup, you know, and polish the gifts that we've brought forth from that? And what do we leave for those to come? How do we be wise elders? And that's where I am now in my journey, in my curiosity, like really owning, landing in the crone, and loving that. But I needed to get through the rewriting, the revision of this book to attend to maybe some things that I hadn't attended to before, or maybe that I wasn't like fully honest about before, or maybe that I was tiptoeing around before. You see, we all get to do this. It's a way that we come out of our shadows, and there's always going to be a patriarchal shadow, a collective shadow. And our job is to attend to ours. And then in doing so, we benefit all else. I truly believe that. So I've probably gone on way much longer than I had anticipated. And I almost didn't come on because it's, I don't know. But I love coming on. But the reason I don't come on sometimes is because I love the juice of an audience and being with you. Oh, and this is the last time that my video will happen here in this room because our little sanctuary is almost finished. So I'm going to be in transition for a little bit, and I'm going to have a better setup, and I'm going to return to doing interviews and bringing other people on. It's going to take a little while. So this is the last time for my dark purple wall in my window. My spider plant can stay. But really nice to see you. So you can sign up for my book launch. And even if you can't make it, still sign up. prajnaohara.com/events, because you'll be able to receive the replay. And if you miss it altogether, just sign up for my news anyway, because once all of this continues to keep moving along, more will be happening. And I hope for it all to be of your benefit. Take good care. Cheers. Have a beautiful weekend, and I hope I see you on Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye for now. And thank you for subscribing.